Alright, this video's been way overdue. I'm gonna go ahead and make it and hopefully get some more information out there. This one's gonna be about all these prisoners being released nationwide, different areas, and I'm gonna put my opinion out on it and put some information with these videos that might wake you up.
Well, thousands of California prisoners can now get out early by taking part in self-help programs behind bars. It's the latest controversial step to cut the state's prison population. Tonight, KCAL9's Peter Dowd is live outside LAPD headquarters, where reaction is very strong. Peter.
Susie, right now the LAPD's labor union is calling the proposed changes alarming and dangerous, while those with loved ones still in prison say it's the right thing to do.
I believe everybody needs a chance in life.
Carlos Martinez credits self-help programs with turning his life away from crime. He says several of his friends are still in prison, so he's glad that California corrections officials Friday announced new steps to reduce inmate sentences. Inmates who earn a college degree could reduce their sentence up to 6 months. And those who take part in self-help programs, including parenting classes, anger management, and substance abuse support groups, could trim off a month each year of their sentence.
If nobody addresses the issue, then they don't know which way to go when they leave those gates.
Virtually any inmate, except those on death row or serving life without parole, would be eligible to earn credits to lower their sentences. The result? California's prison population could drop by 9,500 inmates after 4 years.
Where's the victims? What about the victims? Doesn't anybody care about them? Because potentially there was 9,500 victims that were involved in this, and also nobody's got their voice.
Craig Lally is
9,500 inmates in 4 years. Now multiply that by how many states are going to be releasing prisoners.
the director of the Los Angeles Police Protective League. He says the change will release dangerous offenders sometimes years earlier than called for in their sentences.
Why do you have to let them out early? They were sentenced for a crime, for what the bad actions that they did, and there's no accountability.
The proposed change follows voters' approval of Prop 57 in November, which lets certain felons seek parole more quickly and gave corrections officials more discretion to grant credits for early release. Supporters like Carlos Martinez say the goal is to encourage inmates to do something productive behind bars.
You get to know yourself, and you are a better person.
The earlier release credits would be phased in starting in May, while a public review is underway.
Samuel Hamilton spent 32 years in prison, and when he got out a year ago, adjusting was difficult.
So many people, just so many people moving at one time, and just crossing the street. I chose everything with caution.
And even though Hamilton had gotten a master's degree behind bars, it didn't seem to matter as he tried to get back into the workforce.
You find yourself not getting the job just because of your criminal history.
Just give me the skills, Martinez.
And believe it or not, a job isn't the biggest hurdle after you gain your freedom.
So they're talking about these prisoners are going to be released, and we already got them saying it's so hard for them to find jobs, housing, anything to get some money. How are you going to work? How are these guys going to work? How are they going to live? If you ain't got no money, you're going to go rob somebody for money. If you ain't got nowhere to live, you're going to go take somebody's house to live in. They're just releasing these criminals just so it can happen all over again, which is another big agenda here in today's world. Sorry to say.
What do you see as the biggest challenge?
Housing. We see so many people coming home without housing.
This weekend, those challenges will become a reality for thousands of federal felons in this country released to communities around the nation, which could lead to 40,000 out over the next several years. The U.S. Sentencing Commission amended federal guidelines last year to reduce prison sentences of federal drug felons an average of 18%. and its target date, November 1st. Nationwide, Texas will receive the most inmates, followed by Florida and Iowa. Cocaine convictions account for almost 50% of the inmates to be released, followed by methamphetamine, marijuana, and heroin.
Sorry, I gotta stop it again. So basically, you got all these drug dealers and drug traffickers that brought all these drugs and started selling them and whatnot and got arrested for it and got thrown in prison that are now being released on that reason. Who's the one bringing the drugs in? Sure, we blame it on immigrants and aliens and drug traffickers that are overseas and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, our government brings the drugs in. Our government puts the drugs on the streets. We get a hold of them, we distribute them, and then we get locked up for it. It's just a vicious circle.
People think that crime is going to go up with all these inmates coming out.
I doubt it. But don't know. If it does, it will be because the conditions on the ground in our communities are so dire. We have so much poverty. We have so much hopelessness. We have so much homelessness.
New York.
But yet, let's release a bunch of inmates that are felons and drug addicts and murderers and rapists and child molesters. Let's release them all across the nation so they can go out and live life and do better for themselves. That's not what's going to happen, people. Some of them may have a heart and some of them may be good at heart and, be changed. But I guarantee 90% of these inmates, they don't give a shit about nothing anymore. They're going to want what you have because they haven't had it in so long.
New York Police Commissioner Bill Bratton agrees.
The Parole Bureau cannot hire more parole officers. So who's going to watch these people when they go out on parole?
And it isn't the first time. In 2007, changes in sentencing guidelines for federal crack cocaine convictions resulted in reducing sentences for over 16,000 federal drug offenders. A 5-year study by the U.S. Sentencing Commission compared those released early to inmates who had served their entire sentence before the new guidelines were in place. The study found that both groups reoffended at similar rates. So who benefits from a sentence reduction? The prisoner or the Bureau of Prisons? Judge Jack Weinstein is a sitting federal judge in New York who has had to make sentence reduction decisions. Top priority, he says, is safety of the community.
And the first question the judge asks himself is, if I release this person now or shorten the sentence, will he be a greater danger to the community? And the statistics say very clearly no.
25% of those coming out are non-citizens. In a statement to CNN, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement tells us it will take 1,700 of those released into custody by next week, and they will likely be deported.
Justice Department is set to release about 6,000 inmates early from prison, and this may only be the beginning. It's part of the government's effort to reduce overcrowding in jails and soften the punishment for drug-related crimes. For more, I'm joined live by RT's Igor Pishkinov in New York. So, Igor, 6,000 is a big number. Why is this happening now?
Wow, yes, it surely is. In fact, it's going to be the biggest one-time release of federal prisoners in U.S. history. And there are two main reasons behind that. One is the authorities want to ease the pressure on federal prisons, which are overcrowded right now. And the second one is that this is one of the effects that we're seeing of the government softening its policies towards drug-related crimes. Because about a year ago, the U.S. Sentencing Commission, it's an independent body which actually sets the sentencing policies, they decided to start softening the punishments for various drug-related crimes, not only for future ones, but for the ones which have already taken place, meaning that these rules now, they do affect those already serving time for their drug-related crimes. So just to give you the more precise figures, about 6,000 inmates are planned to be released just between October 30th and November 2nd. So in just these few days, this pretty much huge amount of people will be released, but that's not the end. In fact, it's believed that this is only going.
Another thing, from a total view, maybe not even a total view, but a more perspective here, 2.3 million, even if it's 1 in 10 being violent and the other 90% not, that's 250,000 violent prisoners released and heading for Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, California, mainly here in the central U.S. though. So if you're in them areas, you're going to have to watch your back.
To be the first batch, because about 8.5 other inmates could potentially be released between November 1st, 2015 and November 1st, 2016. So in 1 year, but that's not all even yet, because authorities say that altogether we could be seeing about 46,000 inmates which could potentially be freed as part of this whole policy. And that is about 1/2 of all the drug offenders currently serving time in federal prisons. The machine has already, this mechanism has already began, because we know that judges nationwide now are granting about 70 sentence reductions per week. The rules are, in general, about the new rules, or the new punishments, let's call them that, for drug-related crimes, are slashing the punishment in average with about 2 years in each sentence. So basically this is less time in jail for any drug-related crimes. And well, many are fearing, actually, the critics are fearing that these great amounts of people altogether may actually, when they're all released, they are, what I forgot to say is that they're first being sent to halfway houses. So they don't exactly get to go home, they have to go through rehabilitation and so on, but they are released from the actual prisons. But still, people are fearing that this may increase the crime rates, because you just get so many people on the streets sort of just out of prison. Well, officials say that about 1/3 of these people who are going to be released are actually foreigners, and they will be sent out of the country as soon as they're released. But they're saying what this will definitely do is it will ease the pressure on federal prisons. It's believed that they are running by about 40% over their capacity right now.
Well, certainly they'll have to figure out how to make sure that these men and women that they let out are well adjusted.
Don't come back.
Yeah, and can play a role in society productively. RT correspondent Igor Piskunov, thank you.
Yeah, that's not at all going to be what they say it's going to be. For one, we bring the immigrants here. Yeah, there's a few that come here by themselves, but the majority of the time, we let them in. Mainly in California. California, there's a lot. That's because California is a testing ground before it reaches everywhere else in the United States. Just like with the fires, the DEW weaponry, the 5G rolling out. 5G is already in California and it's up and running as far as I know. And they were the first ones to pass that law. Then you got the water regulations in California, 55 gallons by the year 2022, I believe it was, that Governor Jerry Brown just passed. I mean, come on. You got water in your reservoirs that you're dumping into the ocean daily, and you're going to put a water regulation of 55-gallon use for residents when you're wasting it? Oh, and you guys are in a drought too? They caused this. They cause these droughts, they cause these fires, they manipulate the weather all the time and everywhere. Believe it, it's true. There's lots of documents out there, there's lots of patents, there's a lot of things that people are not awake to, and even if you do show them these things, they still don't want to believe it. So this is going to continue. They always use the excuse of overpopulation. Oh, we're overpopulated as a world. We're overpopulated in the prisons. We're overpopulated in states. Let me tell you something. God made this world and created it as it is. And as that being said, he wouldn't have created a world that was going to get overpopulated with people. This is just an agenda. Keep your eyes open. Until next time, God bless and have a good one, guys.